63% of the average American household expenses goes towards housing, transportation, and food. And if you only focus on food, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics reports that the typical American household spends about $504 each month on groceries. Yeah, I know. Real world grocery bills are more expensive because many families actually report spending between $700 to $1,000 per month at the grocery store. So with that in mind, I'm going to share 24 frugal food hacks that I use, and I know that they will save you money. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Maui Voti with Financially Present. If you're not new, welcome back. And I don't really like the word frugal, but I do prefer fiscally responsible. Regardless, let's start with the 7 pre-shopping hacks that are going to lead into the rest. So when it comes to these pre-shopping hacks, you do them before you go to the grocery store. And the first thing is to stick to a meal plan. Every Friday and Saturday, we plan out about 3 main meals that we're going to do for the week and some lunch options. And then we add a couple of different things to help with making breakfast at home. And it makes it very easy. We write it on the weekly calendar so the kids have an idea as well, and it won't be a mystery to anyone. This type of planning makes it easier to get what we need at the grocery store and cut down on grocery shopping time. The next hack is to make a calendar and grocery list. Yes, they do line up. And this should be a no-brainer. It really works because having a calendar and the grocery list lined up, we know what's needed for the week and what other events may or may not get in the way. And sometimes we find out what meal plan can wait for the following week instead. There have been plenty of times where we've bought something too early and it's spoiled in the fridge, or we buy something without realizing we already have enough in the pantry. We use an app on our phone that syncs up with the grocery list, the to-do list, the calendar, all of it updates real time. So if my wife's at the store or I'm at the store, I can add something or she can add something to the list and we see it real time. Having a list means that anything that isn't on the list needs some sort of reason to end up in the cart. Another hack is to have a designated grocery shopping day. It's not a surprise to anyone. For us, it tends to be Saturdays. Don't waste your time going to the grocery store 2 or 3 times a week unless you know for a fact you're only going to pick up 1 or 2 things that you truly need. If you can help it, it's best to just pick a day that's convenient for you and stick with it each and every week. The less trips you make to the grocery store, the less money you're going to spend. It's a fact. You're also going to have more consistent and predictable spending. Or another hack that I like to do is I take pictures of the fridge and the pantry before grocery shopping. Now, this helps with overbuying because it's really easy to buy stuff that you know you're eventually going to eat anyway, but there's a chance that you probably have some of it in the freezer or the pantry that you haven't used yet. And this leads to overbuying and a lot of food waste. If you're known to always have stale chips or crackers in the back of your pantry or the bag of salad in the back of your fridge that turns into liquid, then that particular hack is for you. Another hack that we like is we stick to 3 or 4 core stores. If you have consistent stores, then you'll know exactly what's really a sale or if it's just a marketing strategy. When you have a main store that you go to more than others, you get used to the prices, you get used to the generic brands. And if they don't have a few things, then you can go to store number 2 or 3. The problem is if you go shopping for everything everywhere, then it's harder to just keep track of what's a deal and what's not. Then you expose yourself to more checkout lines, more impulse purchases, more pre-made foods, the list goes on. When it comes to shopping for groceries, less is literally more. And another hack that I think is valuable is you have to consider using a delivery service. It seems a little counterintuitive, but most of the time we like to treat ourselves when we go to the grocery store with maybe not even 1 or 2 things, a few things. And you can avoid all of this altogether if you don't physically go to the grocery store. The person doing the grocery shopping for you will save you time and you won't fall victim to buying the candy bars in the checkout line or the other stuff in the bargain aisle that you know that you don't need. And if it's not delivery, you can always do curbside so you don't have to physically step into the store. Another hack that will help save money is order catering for meal prep for 1 week. If you like places where you can just make a fast casual bowl or have wraps and burritos, you can literally place a catering order that's for about 10 people, and you can eat that throughout the week, assuming you don't get tired of it. This is technically the best of both worlds because you, one, feel like you're eating out multiple times a week, and you can repurpose it any way you want. So if you do Chipotle, for example, you can use the tortillas for breakfast tacos or a burrito bowl for lunch and a salad for dinner. Whatever your choice is, it's completely yours. You could get extra tortillas and make your own Mexican lasagna and then freeze it and eat the other stuff the way you want to eat it, any type of way. It literally doesn't matter, is what I'm getting at. It's only going to cost you, I mean, it ranges. It could be from $120 to $150, and sometimes it could be a lot lower depending on where you live, but you can make it last for about 5 days at least if you get creative enough. By the way, if you're looking to increase your savings outside of food tips, then make sure you get your free savings starter kit. It's in the description below. The savings starter kit is packed with tools that you can use today to just accelerate your savings this year. So now let's talk about 5 smart shopping hacks. First thing you can do is buy generic. This is something that I've done for so long that I think I just prefer the generic brand of pretty much anything, and this works for many reasons. A lot of name brand companies, they make off-brand or generic items that people buy and sell for cheaper because they know that people are willing to buy without being tied to the brand name. And they want to capture that part of the market. So they make on-brand and off-brand versions of the same exact thing. If you're paying for brand name, you are overpaying. Sometimes there are some slight differences, but if you really think it's worth debating, just do a taste test yourself and see if the difference is actually worth the price. Another hack is to avoid prepackaged foods if you can help it. When you buy these prepackaged food items, you're paying for the convenience and the actual packaging itself. And with that is going to come extra additives, preservatives. It helps with the shelf life of these food items, and it's just convenient for you. And I would consider myself pretty healthy, but I do like some snacks and treats. So I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that, but I know when I should be adding more vegetables to my meals and eat more fruits and avoid processed things. If you reduce or eliminate prepackaged foods, you will save in costs and be eating a much less processed diet. Another hack you can use at the grocery store is just pay attention to unit prices. I especially do this when it comes to meats. I don't look at the price, I look at the price per pound. And depending on the item, it might be a price per ounce or price per fluid ounce if we're talking about liquids. Once you start looking at that, you can truly understand if something is on sale or not. The same with fruit and other items too. Another hack you can use while you're at the grocery store is to use the grocery store app. So when you use that app, that's where all the coupons are. That's where you see all the deals, the store map. That way you can avoid wasting time. And any other perks that you have. I know when I go to Lidl or even Aldi at times, it's gonna have discounts that are immediately available. And whether it's $10 off or $20 off, the discounts are through the app. And that's because I'm using it at checkout. Sometimes there are deals on, let's say, a free bakery item or other little things here and there that make it worth it to download the app, but just do it if you regularly go there. Another hack that I use, and it's highly underrated, is pay attention when the cashier scans. This one is small, but if you tend to buy some items that are marked down or have discounted stickers on them, sometimes the cashier naturally might miss this, or if they're going too fast, or they might even scan the wrong barcode if there's a different barcode on it for the discount. If you're watching while they're scanning, then you can tell them, hey, I'm supposed to only pay $3.99 for that item, not $6.99. And the same goes for checking your receipt right after everything's scanned. You can stand there and look at the receipt and have them do a price check. Now let's talk about 8 home prep and storage hacks that you can use. And this one, probably number 1, cook from scratch. Now, cooking from scratch has stood the test of time. In fact, time is mostly what you need because when you cook from scratch, you know everything that's going into your food, and you can repurpose different food aspects of your meals and make as much as you want. We try to make sure that most of what we make throughout this week is from scratch, with the exception of a few things, but for the most part, between my wife being a great baker and me being a cook as well, We have made breads, cakes, energy bars, desserts, soups, stews, platters, whatever, all from scratch. We've even made our own seasoning blends from scratch, specifically because our kids like tacos so much and we make tacos all the time. So we actually batch the seasoning into a really large container. That way, at any moment, we can make taco meat and we're not using the pre-made seasoned packets with a lot of extra sugars and preservatives. My wife bakes enough desserts and cookies to the point where I don't even really care about the cookies at the grocery store. Like, they're that good. Another hack you can use is to shred your own cheese. It might sound a little weird, but we shred our own cheese, and I personally try to reduce my cheese and dairy intake, but I still eat pizza and I have cheese on sandwiches here and there. But whenever we're making dishes with cheese, lately it's gonna be shredded by us. It's almost a year or so we've been doing this. And this is mostly my wife's initiative, but it's easy to buy a block of cheese and grate it, put it in a container. It's gonna last longer and it melts better. It doesn't have all those anti-caking agents. And maybe it's not cheese for you. It could be vegetables or pre-cut fruit. Think of something where it's only one step to make it cheaper for you to do it at home. Another hack is to use your leftovers creatively. I'm a big fan of repurposing meals. So this means I might make a bunch of grilled chicken breasts one day, and some of it's gonna be used for salads, some of it for wraps, some of it's gonna be used for sandwiches. I might even throw some pasta together and toss that in there. Everything is made with leftovers intended to be used and eaten multiple ways, because everyone has a preference in here. Give yourself space to make some of the main dishes, have different sauces that you can use to spice things up, and then from there, you can add whatever variation with the sides and any condiments. Another hack is to freeze your fruits. We cut our own fruit, and by we, usually me. And from time to time, when the kids get tired of it, it gets frozen and it's eventually gonna be turned into a smoothie or used for blueberry muffins if it's berries, or pancakes. Essentially, if you can reduce or avoid wasting your food, you're gonna save a decent amount of money on a regular basis. And don't stop at freezing your fruit. Put your bread in the fridge so that it lasts longer. And if you're not gonna use that, put it in the freezer. You'll be surprised how quickly bread gets moldy. If your bread gets bad or your food in general gets bad, then it really is a sign of some inefficiencies with how you're consuming already. It's not gonna perfectly line up where everything you eat is everything you bought for the week, but there are gonna be leftovers. Just take note, if you're throwing out food every single week and it's fruits, vegetables, and bread, those are all the things with the least amounts of preservatives. You have to find a way to freeze those first or eat those first. And another hack, I just grew up this way. Always cook to have leftovers. In my opinion, anytime we cook, it's only worth the effort if there are leftovers for another meal. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to cook again much sooner and use much more of our time. For example, the other day, I made pulled pork. That wasn't only for lunch and dinner. Sometimes I could make a hash for breakfast where I throw in some eggs, some spinach, throw in some pulled pork, and now I got a breakfast hash. Almost any protein that I would make for dinner can be used for any other meal of the day. This not only saves time, it saves money and effort. Another hack that we use is 2 to 3 proteins each week and then build around that. Most of the time, we're gonna make proteins on Sunday and then use it throughout the week. It could be baked chicken, grilled chicken, ground turkey, multiple different ways, pulled pork, steak, chili, whatever. Just build around that. Even if you pick 2 of those items, I can easily think of 2 or 3 different ways I can pair those with a rice or a bread or a pasta and spice it up. You have to be creative. Another hack, and this one is not very unique, but just freeze discounted meat. Sometimes you're gonna find a deal and you feel like you can't pass up on it, or maybe the meat has a sell-by date that's within the next day or 2, and they have to mark it down. You can buy it and freeze it so that you don't have to miss out on that offer. And maybe you can use it for the next week's meal planning. Just don't overdo it and don't buy the whole freezer section. Another thing you can do is double the recipe and freeze the rest. This works especially if you like soups, stews, chili. It's a great way to save time and save money. It's really easy to just get tired of having the same thing throughout the week. But if you can freeze it, it'll save you time and effort and money, especially when you consider that most soups and stews can be made at a very low cost, even with quality ingredients. Now I have 4 mindset and behavior hacks that you can use. And the first one is avoid juice and soda. And this is actually really easy for me, at least. And I'll be honest, I still kind of have a sweet tooth, but it's triggered more by chocolate and cookies. Juice and soda, on the other hand, if you eat more fruits, then you don't really have a desire for them as much. So I don't care for soda unless I'm using it to mix a drink. And if you come to my house, that means the soda, the juice, that's fair game. It's all yours if you want it to be. When I do have juice, maybe I'm putting a few splashes in some sparkling water, but naturally it just takes me a long time to get through a bottle of juice. If you really crave it, you could always buy some of those flavor enhancers where you just squeeze a few drops in your water, something that you don't have to worry about on a regular basis. Another hack is go out to eat before you grocery shop. And this could be your treat or your cheat meal, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be a fancy meal, but it should be somewhere where you and your family enjoy it enough to the point that nobody is being driven by their cravings or their vices by the time they get into the grocery store. And if you aren't planning on going out to eat, that's perfectly fine too. Just eat a meal at home and then go grocery shopping, or plan to pick up a pizza at the grocery store and that's your cheat or your meal. Because impulse purchases generally include unplanned snacks and treats. So if you've already eaten, you're less than likely to entertain any of those vices. I also think back to all of those times where we went grocery shopping and didn't feel like cooking afterwards. So we would just order a meal or go out to eat right after, spending all of that money on the groceries. But if you plan it up front, there's definitely less guilt and there's more strategy involved. So just make it work for you. Another hack that I think is very underrated is to make one meal boring. When I say boring, I mean limit your options to a few items and don't think about it. If you can commit to making one of your daily meals boring, then you can save money there and focus on the meals that you enjoy more. You'll also be able to just save some more of your decision-making energy for other things. I personally prefer lunch and dinner. So that means whatever breakfast is going to be on most days, it's going to be boring. So that could be granola with some fruit and almond milk, throw in some flaxseed in there, and then I'm good. I can do that 3 days out of the week, and a couple other days it might be breakfast pizza, or I'll make some scrambled eggs. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm getting some type of fuel, but breakfast is not my favorite meal of the day, so I try to spend the least amount of mental energy on it. Another hack that is also underrated is don't order alcohol. It's really easy to go to a restaurant, you get an appetizer, get a nice drink, get a meal, and a dessert. But the average price of a drink at dinner can range between $5 and $15. And I live in an area where $15 is the norm for a mixed drink. If you get 1 or 2 drinks, that's literally the price of a good entree at a restaurant. If you want to save, order water at dinner and save yourself the money. In fact, if you think about it from a drink perspective, every 2 or 3 drinks is you sitting at another restaurant. All in all, there are so many ways you can save money. These are mostly what we do in my household to keep costs lower. We've done it so much to a point where it's literally a lifestyle. It makes it so that we can just focus on other things, and we still do go out to eat as a family from time to time, and we order out every now and then. But one of the easiest ways to save, in addition to the strategies in this video, is to get your savings starter kit. You'll see it in the description below. It's going to help you with getting some quick wins and hit your savings goal this year. So until next time, stay present.